Pittsburgh is a city rooted in dreams, bridges, and innovation. But Pittsburgh is also rooted in despair, survival, and injustice.
I'm a world changer. My name is Darnell. I'm 14, and I'm from Homewood.
My name is Jaden, and I'm a world changer.
I'm Quentin, and I'm a world changer.
My name is Teron, and I'm a world changer.
I'm Cheney, and I'm a world changer.
What my community means to me is everything.
My community means home to me.
What my community means to me is nothing really.
What my community means to me is nothing, because honestly, I don't like it at all.
It's just one of 8,000 communities that needs help.
I don't feel like there's enough conversation about the efforts to change communities in Pittsburgh historically.
The living conditions are quite awful.
Some people in the community don't want the community to look better or do better.
There are abandoned houses that are torn down and nothing being done with them.
I feel like we need change in the community as a city and as a community.
The houses, they all look abandoned. The roads, they look horrible. You walk down the street, fumes, just trash.
Braddock is a very dirty place. There are lots of abandoned houses. People move from Braddock instead of making the community better.
I think everyone is affected by this community, honestly.
There's not a middle-class black community in the city of Pittsburgh or in Allegheny County, and there still isn't.
I grew up poor, although I walked in the shadow of a giant.
So the majority of our adolescent life was raised in the projects.
We were just young black poor kids. They didn't really care what we did.
I looked around, and around me was nothing but trouble.
Basically anything you had to do, like take the garbage out, anything like that, you had to do it in the daytime.
Then it was a repeated factor, trouble after trouble after trouble after trouble.
I feel like it was horrible, but we got so conditioned to it, it was just like another day.
I hate that my life is like this, because it's been like this my whole life. It's not just like this at Homewood, it's like this everywhere.
So when we talk about housing and affordability, the bigger conversation is economic disparities.
Crawford is pretty close to here. It's maybe like 2 minutes down the street from here.
We lived on a higher part of McKeesport.
Harrison Village is way, like you would go up a hill right here, then you would go all the way down to the bottom of the hill. It's literally connected to the river.
Some housing issues, like it was an old house, so there was creeks. There was one part of the house where we could not go at all.
There was a high-rise down Harrison Village. It was the 16 building. It was probably one of the biggest, most prominent buildings in the projects. Like anybody who lived in Harrison Village growing up, you lived in that building.
There's a larger issue too that talks about like economic and financial disparities that black people are dealing with in Homewood and in the city, period.
Your whole apartment was on one floor. So it was like a living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, but it was really tight.
You look at housing, we gotta talk about affordable housing. We gotta talk about how there needs to be more affordable housing in the area.
People are driven out their communities to find homes.
I feel like homeless people are like the most obviously affected because they're homeless.
Housing is a right. It's a basic human right.
The summer of me going to 12th grade, they remodeled the whole Harrison Village, and they were making some of the families move to Crawford.
And the goal is for them to get as many people out as they can so they can re-gentrify the whole area, right? And make it look ran down so it can be part of their blueprint and they plan their own.
My mom ended up denying, they were giving like vouchers to families to move out there, and they were gonna give my mom a 4-bedroom. She still denied it because she knew the dangers of families moving from Harrison to Crawford, or even vice versa, families from Crawford moving to Harrison.
I don't feel like people talk about redlining enough, a practice that's happened here since the 50s or 60s and limited the supports and resources that black people and some poor people could get to be able to afford housing.
Something called a 12-block radius. If you're homeowners, right, and you own a home that falls on the 12-block radius list, right, when they're doing gentrification, right, sometimes you're getting these calls too that they're trying to buy that house, and I go through with that also because it's a 12-block radius that they do. They try to stay within the same zip code.
With gentrification hitting a lot of our communities in Pittsburgh, you have a lot of young people going elsewhere for career opportunities.
Pittsburgh is huge, and it has plenty to offer when it comes to housing, right? So why would the young want to move away?
The quality housing is uppriced. So even if you do want to be in the city of Pittsburgh or surrounding areas, you might not be able to afford that.
We need to talk about the lack of opportunities for black people that live in Homewood to be able to pay for and purchase housing or pay particular rents.
My nana was a landlord, so she owned a few properties in McKeesport. There was a lot more housing in McKeesport, and it was a better environment for like kid-wise.
People struggle to maintain or even keep their homes.
McKeesport used to flourish way back.
And the people that have houses, they face landlord problems.
It's just really sad to see from, how it looked when I was coming up.
There is a lot of things that are forever changing. The laws are forever changing. The process of becoming a first home owner / first renter, that's going to be forever changing.
My mom is trying to buy a house to become a homeowner, but the biggest problem is finding a house that has everything she wants, such as decently sized rooms, good basement, not a lot of structural damages.
There's a lot of old homes, people who don't maintain their house.
Most of the houses in my area are either small or don't have the right amount of beds and baths.
When you're disciplined to stay on top of things that needs to be done, it's not really difficult to maintain homes.
I lived in a house where there were electrical problems. And in the kitchen, if you turned on the light, you would get shocked.
Once you get a home what it needs, it's not that hard to maintain.
A lot of places just weren't taken care of in McKeesport.
They tore 2 buildings down and never replaced them, so now it's just big open grass fields now.
You got a lot of slumlords who try to pocket the majority of the money but don't really want to invest in their homes.
In the state of Pennsylvania, there is no cap on how high you can raise their rent.
We have to talk about how landowners need to be sued or fined for houses that have been condemned, for abandoned housings that are eyesores and also health issues.
Sometimes what a person does, I notice, they'll get a property dirt cheap. They'll put very, very little bit of money in it, and they'll flip it and they'll move, right? And you look at it, right, and it doesn't really look up to par, but they leave before we get a chance to pass inspection.
I care about people, and I don't like seeing people homeless, and I want to see change in McKeesport.
I feel that abandoned and broken down buildings should get rebuilt.
So I think there needs to be a task force put together to address all the abandoned housing in the area.
Water makes up 70% of the earth. Water is all around us, and it's an important part of our environment. Our water is everything.
My name is Saleh, and I am a world changer.
My name is Jayden, and I'm a world changer.
My name is Marquise, and I am a world changer.
My name is Israel, and I'm a world changer.
My name is Kiera, and I'm a world changer.
To learn about water in our environment, the World Changers visited Cosmo Technology, led by Dr. Frederick Douglass and his team who practice water conservation.
This is what they call the water cycle. Basically what happens is it rains, and then this is an old one where, that we just had a little bit of runoff that would go into the streams and rivers, but most of the water would go down into the water table and into the groundwater. Some water would be trapped in the trees and would go through evapotranspiration and go back up to the clouds.
When it rains, it smells like oil and cats, because there's a lot of stray cats in the neighborhood.
The water tastes like the smell of bleach.
We started building up neighborhoods. We started putting in pavements. We started putting in houses. We started putting in industry.
The water is also bad because it has lead in it and causes problems like ADHD, asthma, brain and kidney damage, and more issues.
Things like this can be harmful and dangerous to the community because people like me who have asthma deal with worsening pollution every day.
The reality is that there is not a drop of water that's not original on this planet.
Sometimes when I walk outside to the gas station, the air is cloudy and fumes from the planes are in the air as well.
Asthma is a disease that affects the lungs and can cause things that create trouble breathing.
The air is affecting me because I have asthma, so if the air quality is low, it's extremely hard for me to breathe.
I feel that this is dangerous and harmful to the community, yet I feel powerless in this situation.
What we find is that disproportionately, the places that we live are places where manufacturers, chemical manufacturers, whatever, manufacturers, automobile, dry cleaners, or whatever, have polluted the land. And we get to live there. And we get to drink the water. And we get to do all of these things.
Pittsburgh is culminated by 3 rivers: the Monongahela, the Allegheny, and the Ohio River. The rivers at times can be beautiful, but flooding can often be an issue the city faces.
You know where that little bike trail they had? Right in that section, that elbow right there, that's where the flood happened. So people were at that light because, you know, at any time of day, there's a backup of traffic at that light. They were at that light and it was raining really hard. I remember the day because I was trying to get home too. And it just came out of nowhere. The flood just happened. Like, you know how you turn your sink, your bowl sink on, put the stopper in? That's how it happened. It just happened like from the rain. And people were stuck. And cars were floating and people were in their cars, and some people that tried to get out of their cars, but the water went in and there were people who died. As you see now, when you go past it, you'll see they have a barrier that if it's raining really bad, they'll block off that area. You can't even travel that area now.
And all of that came down, and Washington Boulevard is literally a bathtub. It is a big depression. And so a big depression with concrete underneath of it, guess where that water went? Nowhere. And it started to fill up, and so the cars started to rise and float, and people lost their lives.
What, about 3 or 4 people lost their lives that day? Yeah.
If I was to look out my room window when I lived in the projects, if I look out my bedroom window, I could literally throw a rock into the river. Sometimes reference Harrison as the bottom. Like they say, where are you from? Oh, I'm from the bottom. So even some days when it rains a lot, you can watch the water will literally rise up. I would say like the mid-90s in McKeesport, there was a real bad flood. Like to the point where I would say the water came up to like maybe the 2nd floor apartments in Harrison Village. There was like people coming in, like boats and stuff, to help families get out. Like everything was ruined. People were getting displaced. Some people had to move to Crawford, or if you had any relatives that just lived anywhere in McKeesport, it was like a state of an emergency. It was like you have to get out, and you have to get out now. That flood was probably one of the worst times of anybody's life who lived in Harrison Village, because you pretty much lost everything you had.
I've lived in 2 different places in McKeesport. When I was younger, I lived on a lower part of McKeesport near the river. Hurricane Katrina came and it affected that lower part like really bad. So we experienced some flooding. We also lost a lot of like important family gems, I would say.
Listen to our stories. They matter because we are the future.
Pittsburgh is community-based, so we have to build as one to fix our problems.
What my community means to me is home.
What my community means to me is life.
My community means home to me.
Home, life, whatever your reason, we are one Pittsburgh, connected by some of the same issues.
The issues that impact us, our families, our friends. I didn't see enough people that were talking about those kind of things.
When I was younger, it was more of a community in McKeesport.
I was working for the city. They really had us going around to Harrison and Crawford and tearing down all the playgrounds. and they never made any other playgrounds. So now when the kids is playing, they gotta ride their bikes in the street, they gotta play football in the street, play tag, like whatever the kids are doing, they're all in the street now.
I would go outside and just play with my friends until sunset.
There is a park that many kids go to play at down the street, but there's not a lot of things about it. There's just sticks and leaves on the basketball court.
McKeesport was like a really popular area in Pittsburgh, and when I was younger, it was real supportive. Like, you heard about everything in McKeesport.
McKeesport is over 228 years old. When you think about it, Pittsburgh itself is only 264 years old. So, roots in McKeesport run deep.
McKeesport Candy Company has been serving the people of McKeesport since 1927. They are family run. They have novelty candies such as exclusive gummies and different treats. Everything is sold in bulk, so their main customers are large businesses. It was founded by Ernest Prince in 1927. Some years later, the exact date is unknown, he was joined in the business by his cousin Max Mullen. The company had a consistent growth in 1935, and they moved to present-day location 1101 5th Avenue, McKeesport.
The World Changers were able to meet a third-generation business owner of McKeesport, who spoke on the roots of his business.
This company never moved locations.
No, and the funny thing was, we had the opportunity to move several times. We also had the opportunity to sell, and we never did. One of the things that's important to us is the fact of, we're McKeesport Candy Company.
Yeah.
So you can't take McKeesport Candy Company and put us in Shadyside,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't be McKeesport Candy Company.
When I was coming up, I was told that a person that looked like me had something up their sleeve. I wanted to prove that to be wrong.
There's already an expectation that people think that all black people think the same, act the same, react the same.
I wanted to help my community become more trustworthy towards people that look like me and you.
It could be uncomfortable because you feel like you represent for everybody.
One way people can learn about our neighborhood background is by researching.
How they show McKeesport is you don't really hear about it as much now. More of what they show on TV, the negative side. So the shootings and how dangerous McKeesport is. And it's really not that. If you go into the community.
If I can give one thing to kids, I'd like to give them the idea that there's hope. And if they're willing to go after their dreams, to learn about the past in order to make the future better, then they have an opportunity to grow.
I think the best way to solve these problems is to come together as a community and to work to making our community better.
And that itself is not an easy task, but youth and adults together have the power to change the world.
We are world changers.
In life, communication is very, very important.
The kids are the people that's directly impacted in what's going on in these cities. So unless they hear your voice, they're just gonna never mind it.
Younger people, even myself, I'm learning. My voice has power.
If you want change, like I said, like I tell my kids that I coach and kids that I just talk to every day, you gotta show up and you gotta be heard.
We are world changers.
Most black neighborhoods in the city of Pittsburgh have over 45% poverty rate.
This city needs a lot of help.
We are world changers.
Conversation is extremely important.
Parents showing up to these meetings that they have.
Education is important because these are all steps.
They would have them once a month, but like I said, at first no one showed up. It would just be the housing authority and some people who didn't even live in McKeesport making decisions for us.
I pride myself on educating young brown and black youth.
I want to exemplify that I come from where you guys come from. I look like you guys. I was disenfranchised like you guys also.
There is so much power in the tongue. So as long as you use it for good and you let people hear your voice, people are going to listen.
We are world changers.
I realized how rewarding it could be to me and my community also, right? And even the people that was the same age as me, how rewarding I could be towards their view of me now, that if I can do it, you can do it also.
Maybe the kids who live here, or any city you live in, if you feel like this city needs help, start showing up to the city council meetings. That's probably the fastest way to make a change.
Letting it in the ear, getting a pencil and a piece of paper, taking these notes down, going on the internet, viewing these things here.
Even if they know what you need, if you don't come tell them and come force them to do it, they're not going to do it.
We're world changers.
A lot of people live and die thinking Pittsburgh is it, or the Homewood is it, or the East Hills is it, or McKeesport is it, or Penn Hills is it, or wherever y'all from. Like, a lot of us feel like that's it, and that is not it.
You can come out of that. You don't have to live like that and die like that.
The world and life is bigger than Pittsburgh.
We automatically assume that we can't do it because we don't ask questions. We don't take the time out to study or investigate.
Being that I come from where you guys come from, it makes it a little easier for me to be here as a counselor and to be attentive and empathetic, be able to teach you about your story and your history to go on to be whatever great entity that the Most High has designed for you.
I would say that the help still doesn't really come. I haven't even heard of them even doing the food bank anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they have the outreach programs at the rec, but a lot of like the computers and everything they have is old, probably when I was still going to the rec. Like, it's very bad.
We're world changers.
I do believe paying attention to funding in our local government is something that we need to do more of, to make sure that proper funds are allocated and used for what they were allocated for, whether it is to tear down blighted homes, whether it is to put more community outreach centers in different places around the Mon Valley and Pittsburgh. But I do believe that there's a lot of organizations like Community Empowerment Association who are actively investing in our community.
A lot of things that we feel are like permanent or forever or temporary.
I would like to say for all the youth, Pittsburgh, Mon Valley, and surrounding areas, first of all, never let somebody define who you are. Take active steps to preserve your community, preserve your natural space, right? If it's just planting flowers that will attract bees. If your land is sick and your plants are sick and your insects are dying off, we are a part of this environment. What does that say about the people in that environment?
I want my community to look better than the community I live in, but it just shapes my view on how I want my community to look as I get older and to be in a stable community.
Join us in the change for the future, taking care of our environment, fixing up houses, and listening to our youth stories. Together, we can change the world.